Hello Year 9, this is Mrs Wilson and this is your 3D design lesson for this week. Now, last week I asked you to collect a range of items from around your home or from outside, such as rice, seeds, tree bark, pine cones, twigs. So you should have all those. You are going to need those for this lesson. You will also need a piece of cardboard and you are going to need some water and some flour. Okay, doesn't matter what flour it is, I've just got plain flour. What does matter is the quantities. So if you have half a cup of flour, you need half a cup of water. Okay, so what you're going to do then is go and get all those. You might need to pause the video and I'm going to get started. So the first thing we need to do is mix the flour and the water. So if you take your flour and gently just tip it in the water, okay, and you're going to need either a paintbrush, a spoon, anything that will mix the flour and the water together. Okay, so give it a good stir, and we're looking for a consistent thickness of the paste. So when it mixes together, shouldn't be any lumps in it. So give it a good mix. It looks a bit like pancake mixture. It's really good as a glue. So if you don't have any glue, you can mix flour and water and it will make a glue. So we're going to use this today almost like a grout, which you would see in between tiles or bricks, and we are going to use it to attach all our materials that I asked you to find. Okay, so there we go, that's all the lumps out now. So I want you to get your cardboard. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to layer, you can see here, layer some of the things in a certain way. So the melon seeds, if you look here, I've layered those in a particular pattern. And they look almost like fish scales. The rice, obviously the rice is really small, so I've just put those down. And then with the bark, I've tried to create different sizes and different pieces. And if you think last week about the frottage work that we did, this will create some really nice textures. And these almost look like roof tiles. Okay. So if we think back to Gaudi's architecture and some of the decoration and the patterns on his work, this is really in keeping with that. So what I've done here is I've got my rice and my seeds, and then I have broken up some of the bark, and I've also got some of the twigs and the pine cone. Okay. So if you use your paste, now it does take a while to set. I think mine took until the next day until it's completely dry. But if you put it on quite thick, so can you see there where you can still see the cardboard? You don't want to see the cardboard. So if you make a square, so if you draw almost a square with the paintbrush, or a rectangle, whatever you want to do, and then just fill it all so it's quite thick. You shouldn't be able to see any of the cardboard coming through. And just a bit more. Okay, so I'm going to start with my seeds first. And if I layer the seeds here, so I'm going to go in a row. And then the next ones, instead of lining them up next to it, I'm going to put them in between the little gaps here. So that will make a different pattern. Now these seeds are quite easy to do, but when you come to use the rice, that is very tricky. You might be able to have a go at doing the rice, but I just put it all together. Okay. It doesn't matter if you don't have seeds, you might have lentils, anything you've got. And this lesson is all about playing around with some textures and maybe having a look at the buildings that are around you, looking at tiles on roofs and seeing how the patterns are. How are they laid out? How are they formed together? Okay, so the next one I'm going to have a go with the tree bark. So again, put your paste, you make your square or your rectangle, and it's exactly the same thing. So cover all the square. Don't worry if you've got any lumps in there, they'll soon go. Okay, and then you can have a go with the tree bark. Now the flower in the water does look very runny at the moment, but when it dries really hard, and everything that you've put on here will stay intact, but you will have to leave it probably overnight. So when you've done this, if you just pop it to one side, and then tomorrow you can write down the different materials that you've used. Okay, so I'll show you one here that I've made earlier. Okay, so there you go. So obviously once it's dry, like I said, you can write down what you've used, and that is your lesson for today. So I want you to really experiment with different textures and different surfaces, and it could be anything that you find around your home. Okay, I will look forward to seeing your different textures next week. Thank you.